to us as directors off court, the way you are off court is to us and matters to us. And then the last thing I asked these three guys was, if what are the greatest attributes that the best pros, the most successful pros in our industry have? The most successful people on our staff, the most popular ones, the ones that stick around and do an amazing job in growing the business. So we're just going to have a little chat. I'm going to go through some of the things that they gave me. We'll try to expand on it a little bit. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free. Now, not to date all of us up here. Sorry, Dave. But we're going to start with Ken. Ken, you'll know in a minute. Ken, how many years have you been teaching?
Oh my gosh. I got certified in '96. I think I started teaching 93.
How many years is that? Help me with math.
35. Yeah.
Close to 35 years. Matt?
So I got certified in '95 when I was teaching with Dave at Atlanta Country Club.
All right. You can all do the math on that one too. So you beat Ken by a little bit, right?
1 year, I think.
By 1 year. Good. I'm the youngest on the stage for one, which is great. So I got certified in 1998, but taught my first lesson when I was 15 years old in the great metropolis of Hickory, North Carolina. Yeah, if you were slightly above advanced, you got to teach little kids when you were there and hit with 80-year-olds. It was amazing.
They didn't wear shoes.
Dave's dreading this. Dave.
Yeah, I've been teaching 45 years.
All right.
I don't remember when I got certified. It's a different certification test back then.
Today's USP number is like 7.
Yeah. I only went through that process so that everyone in this room could understand the amount of experience you have, which, if I do the math correctly, is probably 150 years of experience in different realms of being up here. Okay, and these are all guys that we talk all the time. We collaborate. We speak about a lot of things. Matt was gracious enough to hire me at one point, which I was very thankful for and really appreciate. Dave's been a great mentor, whether you know it or not, somebody you can always call and talk to get great advice. And Ken also, we talk often about staff, things going on in clubs and everything else. So we do collaborate a lot. So it's a great panel. You have a wealth of knowledge here. I'm going to let them talk now, but just some of the things I'm going to do to moderate this is kind of go through what you guys sent me and just try to expand on some of the things that I read that you put down. And the first one we did was, how can you make the biggest impact on court at a club? And I know a lot of people heard me earlier this morning. So my one little nick I put in there was, I had a lady came up to me 2 weeks ago and said, I really love this pro because they think we can win Wimbledon, and they act like we can win Wimbledon every time they're on the court. That was a great compliment to have, So it's how you make people feel when they're on court, that, hey, you are there for them. Yes, they were, just so you know, they were A7. Okay, but they felt like, man, this person thinks we can win Wimbledon, and they're going to try to take us there. That was a great thing. So, Dave, I'm going to start with you and see if you can expand on some of these things. A few of the words you used when you sent me that email was presence, preparedness, enthusiasm, and engagement. You think you can expand a little bit on, the engagement part and ways to really engage?
Well, you handled it all earlier today. So
Well, half the people weren't here earlier today, Dave. So, but any of those that you want to: presence, preparedness, enthusiasm, or engagement.
okay, so I'm gonna answer all 3 questions, and then we'll come back to these individually. So you talked about on-court, off-court, and attributes you gotta have. So for me, on-court, you're providing a service. So on-court's about service. And our staff, and myself in particular, are really trying to learn and dig into the distinction between service and hospitality, because at the club business, that's what we're in. We're in the service and hospitality business. Tennis is or pickleball, is our vehicle, but we're in the hospitality and service business. And so the attributes you gotta have are you gotta be able to listen. And that's different than hearing somebody talk. You gotta listen. And you gotta be able to know your audience every minute of the day. And the audience that you think you know can change on you at any minute. So going back to the first one, providing a service. Number one, the difference to me about providing a service is you've been hired. You're providing a service for a fee. And so now there's an expectation, all right? And what that expectation is that you will be at that moment in time, when you're with your student or students, fully engaged. They will be the most important thing to you at that moment in time. And we all know what it's like to watch somebody go teach and or see them out on the court, and as they are done with their particular segment, and the student or students are picking up balls, that person's not. I think that's one of the great problems and things that an area that we miss out on is that's where you do an amazing amount and highly effective teaching is when you come alongside somebody now, you're picking up balls. And you learn about them, you get to work on the hospitality part because you can ask them about themselves. And then you work on the service part because now you can take everything that you've been working on and reinforce it in many different ways. But the expectation is that you are totally engaged with that person or persons at that time. What else did I say? I'm too old to remember everything I said.
You answered that beautifully.
Okay.
You answered
Good.
that beautifully.
I passed the torch.
No, I'll get to them in a second. I think that one thing, I'll get to them in a second, was, how many times have you seen a pro on their phone texting in the middle of a lesson? In the middle of one. At the very end of one, yeah, every now and then it happens. That's one of those things where you're not engaged. You are not engaged the second that happens. So that's a great point about engagement, Dave. Okay, Matt, something you wrote me, which I really enjoyed, was part of your job is to help build confidence in your players and really teach them how to work well in competitive situations. Can you just expand on what you mean by that, the ways we can do that, comments we make, and how we do that?
Yeah, I think it goes along with kind of what Dave said about hospitality. We're in the relationship business, right? And we've got to build a relationship with people. We've got to earn their trust so that when they come take a lesson from us, they believe what we tell them. How many of y'all have been in a lesson where we do some kind of drill and plays and you go, I would never do that in a match. Right? We've all had that comment, right? We've got to be able to have that relationship where you go, well, you should. You try that. And if they have that confidence that what you're telling them is right, they'll do that. So you got to have that relationship with them where you can help build up that confidence that they have, that when they get in those situations that they can do it. Like what we run into a lot is a lot of the members in our clubs are very high-powered people that are very successful in what they do, but they're very confident and very successful in a very small niche thing that they're very good at. They're not very confident when they're on a tennis court or when they're competing in something that's outside of their normal thing. Like examples, there's a member at Ansley. She works for Cox Communication. She does sales for them. She's like one of the top salespeople at Cox Communication. She's exceptionally driven, exceptionally type A personality. But you get her on an ignorance who this is.
Oh yeah, we all know.
And you know this too. But you get her on a tennis court and you put a little bit of pressure, even in a lesson. You say, okay, winner takes all right here. You can guarantee first feed, bottom of the net. But you get her in any other, you put her in a boardroom and she would just tear people apart. But you got to get her to believe that she can do it out there and have that kind of belief and learn how to compete and have that confidence. But that comes from you as a coach. You got to build them up to say, hey, you can do this. Put them in scenarios and kind of help them believe that they can do that. And I think that's some of the hardest things to do is get people out of there in an area that they're not very comfortable in and they're not confident. It's not their space of comfort out there on the tennis court, and get them to believe that they can do that.
Yeah. That's one of those where you say last serve of the day, and then you're there for 10 minutes. Trying to get them to make the last serve of the day, right? Yeah, I think it's very important, to challenge them. I mean, there are so many people that we teach that go, I want to keep score. And those are the people that thrive, and there's a ton that don't want to keep score.
Right.
Because they're in trouble with it.
I think the kids especially today, like I had the juniors today, everybody gets a medal. We don't keep score in soccer until they're 12 or whatever it is. I mean, I think that's a terrible thing. Like, they don't learn how to compete, they don't learn how to lose, they don't learn how to win graciously even. I think that's something that's missing even from a lot of the junior programs. It's not about being able to run in some kid's face and beat them, but it's about learning how to win, but also learning how to lose and learning how to take it. And I've got two kids that compete in sports, and they've been able to be pretty successful at it, but they had to learn how to do both. They had to learn how to win and lose. And I told a story I told this week to somebody, like, the most proud I ever was of my daughter. She was in a competition. She was the only person in her division. So she won. Set a personal best, like won the thing, but she was the only one in her division. So she gets up there, they give her her medal, and walk in the car, and she just drops it in the trash can out the door. And I was like, what are you doing? I said, you set a personal record. She was like, I didn't win. I just wanted to shut up. And I was like, okay. I just walked to the car, called me inside. I was like, yes! So when she was where she wanted to compete, she didn't want to just walk home with a medal. And I think that's something you have to teach people to do. Like, they don't normally, that's not the way it is now.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Hey, Ken, so some things you talked about was building trust with your members and with your students, and also sort of making sure that they're constantly making progress. Can you sort of tell us what the formula is on how you plan to make that happen, whether you can have continuous progress, and then the part about building trust?
Oh, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I've learned through my years of being mentored, and I did get the opportunity to work for Dave at Dunwoody. That was a great opportunity for me. I learned a lot, and I'll make a few points on that. One thing I always like to say is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I don't care how good you are and how good you hit a ball, and all that, but if you can't build that relationship with your student, your member, your client, right, then you're not getting anything out of it, right? So I had a great question when I was interviewing, 8 years ago for Atlanta Country Club, and one of the ladies on the search committee, her question was, is it more important for you that your student goes away being better, or that they feel good about themselves and they're happy? I said a good professional does both every single time they step on the court. Because I can get you to hit a ball properly, right? But I can't do that if they don't think I care about them. So I think the process is building that relationship, that engagement, I think is the biggest thing. All right? If they trust you, they'll run through a wall for you. And that's good.
Yeah, no, thanks for all that. We're going to move on to the next question. Thank you guys for everything you did. So this is one on how pros can make an impact off court. Okay, I know everybody's going to roll their eyes at this, but there's nothing more important to a director than what you do off court. It's obviously very important what you do on court and how the members see you. But for us, behind the scenes, the off court stuff is really, really, really important. In all honesty, it took me a long time. It even took me years into my current job of being a director to figure all of that out. I still haven't figured all of it out, but it probably took me 7 or 8 years to figure out a lot of stuff. And I made mistakes when I first started, no doubt. But I've learned the importance of it. Had to do it through talking to some of these guys and others, and Daryl Lewis, who's a great mentor of mine, to figure it all out. But certainly made a lot of mistakes. Deb, thanks for sticking with me. Deb was there, but through those mistakes. But I really appreciate that. But I made some of those mistakes. So something that I'm going to quote something you wrote me that was really poignant. That was great. And Dave wrote, "The member experience does not start or end on the baseline." And I think that's probably. I wish I had that for my 8 a.m. talk. Should have had that for that. Can you, Dave, go into some of the things you asked your pros to do off court that, first of all, please you and make your job a little bit easier, but also helps them grow?
We ask our pros to be present. All right, so you talked about this, and it was also mentioned by someone else, but you know, the ladies that were out here playing with Rob were probably nervous, but they still, I'm sure, loved that we were watching. And they loved when Jordan kept yelling at them. Okay? I mean, he was engaged, right, with them. And they loved when we, at our facility, we would walk around. We don't have to be there for the whole match. We just have to be there and spend a little time at their match, and then we can move on to the next match. And then we got to be there when they come off so that they can talk to us about, we got to do our debrief. And they all want that. Now that's standard. Everybody does that, right? But yet it's hard to do. It's not that enjoyable necessarily to analyze every single match over and over and over. But it's got to be done. And that's the hospitality aspect, and then being available for people prior to the match, welcoming people. It's such a silly little thing, but it's huge. And I can remember we had a speaker system in our building, and we, for a while, when it was working, we would play music on Thursday mornings, okay? Upbeat, positive music. And I would watch people come in from the 2 entrances, whether it's members or guests, and as they kept walking, all of a sudden they're starting to move and they're starting to bounce around a little bit and they're dancing as they come in. I'm going, great. They're already feeling really good about coming in here. Okay, whether it's a member or a guest, that's what I want from them. I try to spend a lot of time at the front desk in our shop, and I try to just stand there and watch, and every person that comes through, I try to address, and I want to be there to put on a grip and talk to them about strings, and I want to be there. The putting on a grip thing is huge. People are so appreciative. Or if I just look at them, going, are you really going to play with that old grip right there on there? Your game's going to be better if we can get at least an overwrap on there or something so you don't have to hang. Oh, I didn't know. And you show interest, right? Being present and being sincere. And what you're doing is you're, in that form of hospitality, you're building a relationship that you talk about based on trust. Hey, this person is the expert. When I first went to Dunwoody, my first month there, I couldn't get anybody to listen to me at all. None of the members was like, they was, I'll go get Matt to do it, or somebody else. And because I had no trust, I had no relationship with them, and it took a while. And I gained that by being on the court with them, and then they started to trust me there, but then it changed as off the court. But the way you, off the court, the way you interact, the way you promote your events, the way you present yourself, okay? The way you show yourself to your members, the way your personal presentation is big, and it starts with your appearance. And when you, I hope I'm not picking on anybody in here, but when you walk out there as a tennis professional and you're wearing a Callaway hat, okay, or a Titleist hat, you're basically saying to everybody, yeah, I'm here for you, but I'd rather be golfing, okay, and that's sad. And if you're a Wilson rep and you're wearing a Babylon hat, what are you doing? Okay, how does that person look at you and say things like, well, he knows something about rackets, or does he just play with those rackets? Is he telling me to buy that racket because it's good for me, or because, you know, he's just trying to sell a racket? And there's a lot of what you do is based on that. I'll give you a good example of, we had a pro that worked for us for a while, and when he first came on board, he really struggled to get people to work with him. They would work with him in our team settings, but he was not getting any private lessons, wasn't getting any small group lessons or anything like that. But he was a techie, okay? And he knew everything about every racket and every string, and he could actually take a grip off, and he could shave the plastic off our racket. He had molds in his house, and he could give you a new size grip. And over the course of time, and every time somebody would be in the shop talking about a racket or asking anybody about a racket, he'd pop out there really fast and start talking to them. And not to overwhelm them, which is what he did, but he just got their attention. And pretty soon, everybody would be coming in trying to bypass anyone else in the shop, and they wanted to go talk to that guy. All right? The next thing, and this took a while, but the next thing that happened is he walked in one day and said to me, hey, this is how many hours I taught this week. And it was a stupid amount of hours, okay? And I said, I want you to teach that many again. Because it's the middle of the summer, and it was just, and he was going home stringing rackets for everybody and bringing back. And by the way, when he talked to people and he was stringing rackets, he would cut out the strings on the racket, and then he would spray the racket and cloths with alcohol or Windex or something, and he'd clean it. And people saw him doing that. It was not required, but he went the extra mile, and he built a rapport with people that carried over to the tennis court, where they would now give him a chance. And then once he was able to provide the service on the tennis court, they realized not only did he know what he was talking about, but he did care. Okay?
He created a brand. He created a brand.
Absolutely.
So, that brand, and he knew what his brand was, and he could market his brand.
So there's so much that this guy did off the court that carried over to on the court. It was really impressive.
Well, thanks, Dave. Matt, we'll go straight to you now. Since you were talking about creating a brand, we'll go into that some. So a couple things. Taking the, let's.
Just before you guys get onto a new topic,
Yep.
I just wanted to say about just kind of like being somebody to look up to. I don't know if you guys know this, but Ken Andriano, I say look up to.
Really?
He was my coach as a kid, and maybe when I was 12 or so, I think I may have.
Yeah, you probably were.
started looking up.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was really important to me growing up. I didn't have the best relationship with my father, so having a Ken Andriano, who I thought was really cool, teaching me how to hit forehands and backhands and kick serves and stuff like that. Just talking about the off-the-court stuff. That is, I think, a huge thing that you could do for somebody. I would love if I was in his position, and I don't know how much older he is than me, 20, 30 years, 40 years from now, seeing someone that I taught 50 years. She's got a lot of great. 20 years, we'll say.
Hey, wait, I thought you were saying something nice about it. Is this a roast? Did I come to the
Again, I
wrong
won't
place?
say much more, but I would love that. I would love to have somebody that I taught, come to this situation and be like, wait, actually, tennis could be a pretty cool life, which it is. We kind of make people's lives better every single day. So it's awesome that, it's because of Ken that I'm here, right? I had a difficult time with the guy in my life, my dad, but Ken was that guy that I look up to. And here I am. So I think that it is important when you guys talk about building these relationships, how much of an impact you can have. I remember when I did first move down here a couple of years ago, I was talking to my brother Mitch, who lived down here already, and was saying, make sure Ken knows I'm sorry for being such a punk kid. I'm not sure if he ever delivered that message, but I was nervous. I was saying, I was breaking rackets and stuff like that as a kid. I didn't know what he thought of me then, because again, I did look up to him growing up. So I think that if you can build a relationship like that with one of your students, it's worth that extra mile. It's worth doing those extra things like Ken did for me.
Well, thanks, Jordan. Appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you, Ken.
Roast him some more.
So we'll go to Matt. So you're talking about building a brand. We're all very different. We have pretty large staffs, and everybody's sort of got a different way they connect with people. What do you think are some of the most important things pros can do to build a brand that has nothing to do with teaching somebody a forehand or a backhand?
Well, you got to know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and you got to be really consistent in trying to put forward whatever your strengths are. I think consistency is that big thing. If you show up one day and you're really trying to be present in the lesson and doing something for somebody one day, and the very next week you show up and you're kind of halfway there and half-assed through a lesson, all of the trust you just built last week's gone instantly. So I think consistency really is a big part of that. You've got to figure out really what do you want to be? Are you that person that can talk to a wall for 20 minutes? Is that what your strength is? You can just talk to anybody all day long, and that's what you're going to do. So you're going to make that connection by just getting to know every little detail about every person that you teach. Are you that person that is the techie that's going to talk about every detail about the racket? Are you somebody that's very technical in how you teach? And you're going to build that trust by being like the super technical pro. Are you the person that just likes to know every detail about their family? And sure, you like to share much about your family, so you get that connection that way. I think you just have to know what that is about you, and then be very consistent in that with everybody, because then the rest of the people talk about that. I think that's what everybody has to understand, is that when you're at a club, everybody at that club talks about everybody. Right? Everybody knows that. So within about 5 minutes, the word gets around about every single thing that happens there all the time, right? And so if you're very consistent with those things, and everybody has that same kind of brand idea about who you are, then it gets out very quickly, and everybody trusts that brand and knows who you are, so that brand that you have will follow you and stay with you, and then people trust that. Because we do talk about it a lot, that one of the things that with the hiring process that we go through, and is the one thing I was talking about is the one non-negotiable we have is you have to be part of the team. If you're not going to be one of the teammates there, if you want to be an individual pro, this is not the place for you. Right? Teamwork is the number one thing, and that's the non-negotiable we have. Everything else we work around. And so that's the first question we say. So one of the off-court things that I think we talk about now, it's a little bit outside of the brand idea, but you have to be part of the team. Even if you just, when we have our team meetings and we talk about what we're going to do, we can have disagreements in that meeting. We can all kind of talk through how we want to handle an event or a lesson plan or whatever we're going to do. When we walk out of that meeting, we're all on the same page, and no matter what people say, we all say, this is what's going forward, this is what we decided, this is how we're going to be doing this. It's not like, well, I know Ken, I wanted to do what you did, but Bill really made me do this, so that's why we're doing it. So I'm on your side, but Bill, it's like we all come out and say, hey, we all decided this would be the best way to handle this, and this is why we're doing this. And so you have to have that kind of off-court teamwork as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks for all that. I think part of building a brand, I mean, for a long time I was just the kind of funny, really loud guy who had a lot of enthusiasm. That's how I started out my entire career. I mean, in 1999. That was me. I wouldn't say I had all the knowledge, but I had high energy. I really loved people, and I was there. But something I learned from Darryl Lewis when I went back to Sugarloaf, we had lesson plans. Is sometimes you have to give up that brand for the team. When we're doing, I know right now there's people at our club that have told me, can't take a lesson with you because I'll be too tired at the end. And there's people that love those different styles and it's fine when you want to get private lessons. That's going to happen. The people that want a hard workout, hit a ton of balls, and kind of here's some loud guy over on the other side of the court, talk to him, might gravitate to me. There's other people that are going to prefer someone who's much more cerebral, and they like to discuss what's going on, and they like to think about it and hit more balls. So I think you have a brand, and you know what your brand is, but you also have to integrate into a team environment. You have certain standards for team clinics. Do whatever you want in your private lessons because those people are going to gravitate to you. When you have the team clinics, you got to be okay to be a little flexible in that area. All right, thanks, man. So Ken, something you wrote about making an impact off court was players easily recognize the level of effort put into planning. Can you go into just briefly some of the planning that you mean there that really results in people knowing that you've done all that planning?
Yeah, that's it goes into lesson plans, right? And we all done it. I started doing lesson plans even before I worked with Dave, but he was big on that as well. I'll do lesson plans for my pros. We have 3 pros, including myself, plus independents. So we might have 4 pro clinics, and so I'll put out an agenda of what it is, and I always do it for the pros ahead of time. Because for me, and it's just like you talked about, Bill, about having that organization. You can tell when people jump on court and have no idea what they're doing. They're just kind of winging, right? And I think we've all gone on court with someone we've done private lessons with for a long time, and we just get out there. We know what they need to work on. We do it. So I don't necessarily think you need a lesson plan for that. But when you're going to a team environment or juniors, I think it's very important. I mean, I had to let a pro go, so I'm starting to do more of the 8 and under clinics with the kids and stuff. And I'm like, believe me, I got to put a lesson plan. I go on court without a lesson plan, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off, right? They can feel it. They see it. They know if you put time into it, and again, it comes back to they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if you're organized and attentive and engaging, they're going to know it. I think it's pretty easy to see.
Yeah, we talk about that like we have a 3rd floor at Ainsley that goes down on our courts, and we talk about, hey, when they're up there on the 3rd floor, looking down on the tennis court, the 3 courts that are doing that lesson should all look similar. They should see that, there is a plan. All 3 courts are looking like they're doing the same thing. If it's all chaotic, all 3 courts, and it looks from up here like nobody's doing the same thing, then something's going on.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Jim. We've got about 10 minutes. We're going to do a 2-minute round here before we finish, okay? So Dave, this is one what are the traits that the most successful pros in our business have? And I think we've got a lot of people in this room with a lot of experience and who've worked with probably 50 or 60 different people probably in their tenure since they've been around at a minimum. So there were some great things you put in here. So Dave, one thing you wrote about, I don't know how you're going to condense this into 2 minutes, but Dave made a great point. He said it's very hard to be fair and honest with our members. I mean, I'm going through a situation right now that I thought we were really fair. Deborah knows we were really fair. We had I'll give you the example. We had a team that disbanded at the very last minute. All of a sudden, a couple ladies pulled out. We had 9 ladies for a team. That's not enough for an alpha team. And Deborah, thank goodness she was there. We split the 9 people in half. and worked our butts off, and within a week, we had them all on different teams. And of the 9, there's one who, got moved from, there was an A1 team, and we dispersed them. It's 4 different teams. They're on an A17 playing line 1, not winning every match, by the way, so we thought it was fair that they were there, but they got to play a lot, and the team needed them. They won. They're back up to A3 now. Still not happy. So it was fair. They're almost back to the same level, and they're getting more match play than they ever did, and still competitive matches. And I'm going to have to call her later today and be honest. And it's not going to be fun. Hey, I think we did a great job, and I know you might be unhappy, but you're A3, you're playing line 1, and and obviously be an active listener too, Dave. So can you somehow condense in the 2 minutes being fair and honest, meaning the last part?
No, I can't.
We got 3 minutes.
Okay.
To be honest.
First of all, you gotta be honest with everybody because it'll come back to bite you. And when it comes back to bite you, it'll bite you really hard. So, and you don't have to be overly honest, in other words, give away too much information, but you've got to be honest with people. Even a small example would be on the tennis court when somebody hits a forehand in the net, you go, that's a great shot, and then they look at you, oh, listen, you're just trying to make me feel better. They know they're a guy, so you got to be honest, which means you got to be sincere, and that's where the trust comes from. And if that's the case, then being fair becomes easier, or at least the people believe you're going to be fair. Okay. And I say all the time, in our business, this is what's so tough. The customer is not always right. Because when you have 2 customers on the court, and one customer says the ball's in, and one customer says the ball's out, one of them's not going to be right. And you're going to be the person that's going to have to step in and do what? You want an opinion, right? Be honest. Sorry, it was in. I saw it, whatever it may be. And that's a pretty lame example, but it gets the point across that you just gotta be honest, and you gotta do what you think is fair. And we have a decision tree at our club, and it says when you're making these decisions, it's club comes first, tennis program comes second, then the individual program, men's, women's, kids, whatever comes third, then the team, and then the individual. Okay, and that over the years has come in handy. We don't think of it all the time, but we should. But over the years, it's come in handy.
Great, thanks. I need you to send me those last 5 things you just read about the hierarchy. I need that.
You won't remember?
I won't remember it. No, I won't remember it actually. No, I'll miss out. So Matt, on this one, 2 minutes here. You gave me a lot of different things about what people could do, what the greatest attributes are. One was political savvy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you tackle marketing, which is marketing is a very important one, and we all need marketing. If you go to the brand thing we talked about, can you talk 2 minutes about political savvy and maybe ways people can identify that and use it?
Well, when we work at a club, you have to deal with all kinds of different groups, different factions, whatever you want to call it.
Being super careful here.
Yeah, people about how everybody wants something for themselves, right? Everybody wants their right answer. Everybody wants to be the person with their right. And so you have to figure out sometimes in the meetings how to get them to believe they got what they want, even if they didn't get what they want. And you've got to figure out how to kind of work that into some of those conversations. When dealing with committees and board of directors, all those things, you've got to be able to understand how politics of the club works. I don't think in my 13 years of being an ANC, I've never gone into a tennis committee meeting without already knowing what the vote was going to be. I got to make sure I talk to every committee member prior to the meeting, so when we go in to take a vote, I know that the meeting vote's going to be 9-3 that night. 9-4-3 against, I know we're going to win the vote. I never go in there and say, well, I hope we win this. Raise your hands, what's the vote going to be? I go, I already know. Because I've already worked with everybody, talked to everybody what it is, try to get everybody on the side that I need to. If I need to pull some strings and say, hey, Mac, I need to really talk to your 3 buddies over here. I need these guys to come on our side on this because we need to really get this through something important in the next couple of years. And he'll give me advice about what it's going to be. So you got to really kind of understand how that goes. It can't be just give your side of the story and hope that it's good enough and just hope that it all works out. It takes a lot of behind-the-scenes work to kind of make the politics go your way. The big joke around our club is I've never not gotten a capital improvement request gone through finance. And I was like, how do you as a tennis guy come in here, every finance request you get goes through? I'm like, I don't know. Like, well, it's because I work a lot behind the scenes, making sure before that finance committee happens, that I know what the vote's going to be for all our people. But that's the kind of stuff you have to go to be good at, and you can't just, hope that what you think is the right way just kind of happens, because that's not how it works.
Yeah, I think that would be the case for working for a management company, running an academy, working for a public facility. And we tend to have more committees, but I mean, you're always dealing with HOAs, which I've worked with and hated it, but I didn't know all those things at that time. But I certainly could take that into every realm, wherever you work. All right, Ken, 2 minutes. Ready? You put administrative abilities. It's the most boring topic ever, which is why we're spending 2 minutes on it. But we're talking about off court. Those are things that, I don't know, keep me up at night sometimes. Or, what I just like is I get an email from our controller saying, we've got 6 disputes for billing that we have to go through. And it can be sometimes, somebody bills the wrong thing who's working in our shop. It could be a lesson's billed 3 days later, and we just have to figure it out, but it's extra time. It's unnecessary extra time a lot of times. So tell me sort of the top 3 administrative abilities you think you're talking about.
Attention to detail. I think that's the biggest thing. You really got to be attentive to that. Nobody likes to do it. I think we all got into tennis because we like, as Dave would say, I like wearing shorts to work. Not today, but being able to go out there and interact and teach tennis and make people love it, it's great. But if we want to progress in our career, we're going to have to learn that. Another thing, and I don't know if you remember this conversation, Dave, and I'll probably paraphrase it, but he said there's 2 things you need to be a very successful tennis professional. One is you have to have good interpersonal skills. You have to be very personable. You got to interact with people, and you got to engage and build relationships. Number 2, you got to have very good administrative skills, right? And it's very hard to have both, right? Everyone gravitates towards one. Like we can build a great relationship. We're talking. I'm great, but man, when it comes to administrative stuff, everything's falling through the cracks, right? So for me, the personal skills were better. The administrative stuff is what I really started working hard, and I actually love it now. I love doing that stuff. But talking about for a young pro coming up, you're right. Just attention to detail, billing the wrong person. That puts extra work on me. Okay, not do being on time. I hate to say it. There's two things I always say is if I tell you to be somewhere at 8:15, don't show up at 8:10. Show up at 8. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, don't bother showing up. So, be on time. Be trustworthy. And be attention to detail. You do those 3 things, you'll be successful.
All right, thanks, Ken. Appreciate you guys being up here. We're gonna end with one more question. It's a one-word answer. So what I want is, so Dave, you have somebody sitting in front of you, a candidate, and their question in the interview is, if you could name one attribute, just one, that you want in the next person that works for you, what is it?
Trust.
Kim?
I was going to say trust.
Same word.
That wasn't my word.
What's yours?
Likable. I think it goes hand in hand, right? I mean, usually if you like someone, you can learn to trust them. But I know Scott's mentioned that to me before. He came to me one time many years ago. He goes, I like you a lot. You just want the members to like us. But yeah, listen, it's simple, but it's actually a really, really poignant thing is, yes, the first thing I want is for the members to like seeing me and like you there. And then that will build trust with them and go far from there. Well, hey,
quick
Ken,
question.
Yes, sir. Oh, any questions? Yes.
I want to hear from our directors here. So you're hiring somebody, and you have somebody that Bill Anderson from when you first started that was just so likable and engaging, or you have the super tennis player that looks like he can really teach good, but you're not too sure how he's going to interact with people. Who are you hiring?
Me. I would. No lie. We've actually talked about this a little bit recently. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I take personality. I've had a couple of those guys. I don't know, he's not in the tennis business anymore. He went on to be a very successful person in medical sales. With Chris Hutchinson, I hired him 2 different clubs I worked at. He wasn't the best player. He wasn't the highest technical guy. The guy taught more lessons at both clubs than any other pro in my club. every lady at the club loved that guy. Every time he came off the court, every time I had a lesson, just smiling and laughing. And he taught an ungodly number of hours every single week.
Yeah.
Ken?
I mean, obviously, yeah. I'm with you on that one. I mean, because you give me someone like that, I can teach you all you need to know. I mean, with the support of the RSPA and educational opportunities and all that stuff, I can help you become a better teacher. But I can't help you be trustworthy. I can't help you be likable. Those are things I can't train.
Do you know Doug Cash?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody know Doug Cash? He's taught a lot of us. And yeah. His big thing was when hiring people was, if you remember this man, DPP, dazzling pro personality. Give me a pro with DPP. I can work with them just like you said on everything else. But you can't give anybody that.
Cool.
Any questions for anybody up here? Awesome. Hey, listen, thanks to all of you who spent the entire day with us. Hey, where's Marcus? Thanks again. Hey, everybody, thank Marcus
We need to
again.
do attendance.